Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Azren, the language nerd here, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds, and welcome to today's podcast episode and, of course, YouTube video. I'd like to answer a question I received on Instagram today. This one comes from Feroza. She says, I'm learning French and it's really hard. I did about 60 hours of studying, but then stopped. In September, I'll be resuming my studies by taking classes at a school. I live in Paris, but I'm really struggling. I don't know what to listen to even pick up the basics of the language. Everyone advises me to listen more to anything, but I'm not sure what I should listen to. I try watching Netflix, but then it becomes too much. The content doesn't make that much sense to me. I've also done grammar study, but I struggle when people talk to me. I don't know what they're saying. I don't do a whole bunch of conversation practice. However, I do seem to be able to pronounce the language okay, which is a bright side. Overall, the situation is creating extreme anxiety. For now, I'm just using Duolingo until the new school semester starts in September, and at that point, I'll be doing 2 classes a week. She then sent a crying emoji and said, I'm struggling to survive, LOL, and has asked for advice. Okay. First of all, understand that this is pretty normal. At the beginning phases of learning a language, people get overwhelmed. At the beginning phases of a language, they get especially overwhelmed if they've moved to a new country or a new city. Your whole routine has been uprooted. All your comfort foods are gone. You can't find them anymore. Your bus system doesn't work how your bus system worked back home. Your friends are no longer there. Your apartment is a new apartment. You need to use Google Maps everywhere you go because you keep getting lost. Everything is different, which creates an extra level of anxiety. So first of all, understand that what you're going through is normal. People have been through it before, and people have worked through it successfully before, even when they didn't speak the language. That's first and foremost. Second of all, I want to give you a system you can use, a process you can use, and this is something that'll work for everybody listening to the episode today or watching the episode today. A process you can use to simplify the language learning process. Step 1, if you are a beginner in any language, I want you to log your study hours, and I want you to get to 50 hours of study as quickly as you can. 50 hours of study. You don't have to push yourself. If you're only doing 1 or 2 hours of study a week and that's all you can manage, fine, right? But you want to get to 50 hours of study if you are a beginner learner. If you're an intermediate learner, you want to get to 100 hours of study. I don't care how you get there. The reality is there are lots of ways to learn a language, and many of them work. People have different learning preferences. In fact, people's learning preferences even change as they progress in a language. People's learning preferences change depending on the language they're learning as well. Because of these factors, it's hard to know for someone when they're an inexperienced language learner if they're on the right pathway. And there's no real way for them to figure out if they are on the real pathway. If you're inexperienced, you can only guess. All you can do is hear advice from people like me, hear advice from some podcaster, some video, read some research, do what the research says. There's no way to actually know. If you're an inexperienced language learner and you haven't figured out what works for you, all you can do is take an educated guess. So I want you to take an educated guess based on your experiences of learning a language so far, and based on what you've learned about how to learn a language so far. Maybe you don't know very much, but you obviously know a little bit. You're taking some classes, you're using Duolingo. Obviously, you know something. You've heard something about language learning. Well, using the knowledge you have, make an educated guess. And you want to get to that 50-hour mark if you're a beginner, or 100-hour mark if you're an intermediate learner. By the way, on my website, I have a free habit tracker where you can use to track your hours. Go to azrenthelanguagenerd.com. In the menu section, as of right now, in the menu section, there is a, I think I've called it Free Habit Tracker. You can click it, you can download it. There's the option to leave a donation if you want to, but if you don't want to, you can get it for free. Okay, so that's directly on my website. That's a really visually appealing way to track how many hours you've dedicated to learning a language. Step 2. Once you've hit the 50-hour mark or the 100-hour mark, you want to get a level assessment from a highly experienced and skilled instructor. You want someone who probably is a full-time teacher or at least a very busy part-time teacher, someone who teaches like 20 hours a week or more. You want someone who has a system they use to do level assessments. This is something that I offer, and this is something that my business offers. If you want to go through my business and you want to inquire further, please visit azrenthelanguagenerd.com/contact, A-Z or Z-R-E-N, thelanguagenerd.com/contact to reach out to me, and I can give you some more information. Another place you can look for a level assessment is italki.com. That's italki.com. If you're going to go on italki, you will need to do your homework. You need to shop through the teachers and see who you want to work with, who you're going to hire for this level assessment. You'll probably want to send a message to 20 to 50 people and ask them, hey, how do you do your level assessments? Again, you're looking for full-time teachers or very busy part-time teachers who teach at least 20 hours a week. You're looking for people that have an established level assessment system, a way they do them. Okay? This is not the time to hire someone inexperienced or someone who just does conversational lessons. You probably also want someone who speaks, you have a language in common that you can communicate in. By doing that level assessment, you're going to get an objective idea of how effective your language learning methods were. So if you decided I'm going to do 50 hours of classes and homework, and then you get your level assessment, the level assessment will tell you objectively where you've improved and where you haven't, and where you still have to grow. And after the level assessment, the person who did the assessment will give you advice on how to improve on the aspects of the language that you need to improve on. That way, you'll know how effective your methods were. This is the only way to know how effective your methods are if you're an inexperienced language learner and have not learned languages before. Okay? Two stipulations. Number one, you only log your active study hours, not your passive study hours. That's all you log. So if you're casually listening to music in the background, that doesn't count. Okay? Only log your active study hours. And the second thing is if you're doing intensive studies, meaning you're doing like 3 hours of studying a day, well, you don't need to get an assessment done every 50 to 100 hours, because 50 hours, you'll get there in 2.5 weeks if you're doing 3 hours a day. You'll get there so fast. And doing a level assessment every 2 weeks is just excessive. You don't need to do that. Okay? If you're doing intensive studies, you can still log your hours, but you don't need to get an assessment done every 50 to 100 hours. You just need to do it every 3 months. So as a recap, there's no way to know if you're an inexperienced language learner if you're on the right track. There's no way you can know, no matter how many videos you watch, how many blog posts you read, no matter who you ask, no matter what, there's no way you can know. All you can do is make an educated guess. You make your educated guess. You log your hours to 50, you log your time to 50 hours of study or practice for beginners, 100 hours for the intermediate speakers. At that point, you pay a professional to do a level assessment. That way then you'll know if your educated guess was right, wrong, or somewhere in between, and you'll be able to make an adjustment. That's the only way to know if you're on the right track. If you do want to connect with me on Zoom, I connect with people all the time on Zoom to give them individual feedback on how they can progress in their target language. I help them create personalized study plans. I do this for free. I do it all the time. So if you do want me to do that with you, please reach out. You can visit azrenthelanguagenerd.com/contact. Again, that's AZ or ZREN, thelanguagenerd.com/contact. You can reach out to me there, and we can schedule that free study planning session. Okay? I hope that's helpful. Fingers crossed. If you want more information, you want to ask me more about it, and it wasn't as helpful as you'd like, again, just contact me. I'm always happy to chat, always happy to try and point you in the right direction. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk very soon. Bye-bye. Au revoir.